Welcome to the Simply Luxurious Kitchen. This season is all about comfort. With many French comfort recipes made in my own home kitchen, inspired by what I find in my garden, and kept company by my two furry companions. Join me as I share seasonal fare to elevate the everyday meal. And most importantly, discover how to enjoy stepping into your kitchen. Let's get started. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Shannon Abels, and this is the Simply Luxurious Kitchen. And today we're making a favorite French dessert of mine, clafoutis. Clafoutis is a simple dessert to make. It sounds fancy, but it really is just cherries and batter that includes milk and cream and eggs, similar to a custard, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of vanilla bean, and a little bit of cassis or your favorite liqueur that would complement those cherries. So let's get started. I've been baking clafoutis for a couple of years now. You might remember in season 1 of this cooking show, the final episode was a pear clafoutis or pois clafoutis. And since learning how simple this dish is to make, I have really enjoyed bringing it into my regular cooking repertoire. And so when I moved to my new home, I have 2 cherry trees. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So it was even simpler to make. And I enjoyed it my first summer in this home when the cherries, as you can see here, were just a brilliant red. The early July, they came in to be in season in Bend. And I made my clafoutis then, and I froze 3 bags worth of 2 cups each for this recipe to be enjoyed this fall, to be enjoyed this winter, and to be enjoyed today. But interesting, just a bit of history here with this recipe. It is simply means to fill. So it comes from the Occitan word, the verb meaning to fill, clafeur, C-L-A-F-I-R. And to call it anything a clafoutis that doesn't have cherries is not proper, evidently. Technically, that would be called a flaneur, which is any fruit or berry with a type of custard mixed with it. But either way, you can use blueberries with this recipe. You can use pears, as we did a couple years ago. You can use apples, blackberries, figs, whatever fruit, fresh fruit that you enjoy. You can really put it into this dish. So make a multi-berry dish. But it really is going to be so simple to make. I'll show you here in a second. And it's good warm out of the oven, and it's good cold as well. And we enjoy it here quite often now that I have cherry trees that need to be enjoyed. So here we go. Let's make clafoutis. All right, so to begin, we need to prepare our pan. Now, clafoutis can be cooked in, I use my copper skillet. It can be cooked in a cast iron skillet. You could also use it in a tartatin pan, a copper tartatin pan. Ceramic dishes that are flat, about 8 to 10 inches in width. And you can use basically anything, but with all of those, you want to prepare the pan. So what we do is we take a paper towel, have softened butter, and about a tablespoon of butter, maybe not that much, but it depends on how big your pan is. We're just going to put that butter everywhere in the pan. This is going to enable the slices to come right out because you're going to serve from the dish. So you want to choose a dish that will look good on the table. I just love this one because I have a handle, and the handle, while it will get hot in the oven, it's easier to grab with one hand than two. But that's, again, my choice. But choose something that you can serve directly from. It'll simplify the process. Then, what I like to make is vanilla sugar. Take a vanilla bean. I love these. Now I am just going to use half a vanilla bean. And you slice it down the middle, but not all the way through, just through the top layer. And you want to open it up. Actually, it's easier with my fingers. Ooh, so many lovely vanilla bean seeds in here. Look at that. Holy cow. So beautiful. And I do this with my finger, but you can do it with your back of your knife if you want. You can just do it like that. So I just use my thumb, and I just push it all out and drop it right into the sugar. I have about 2 to 3 tablespoons of sugar here. And then I run my finger down one more time, because there's always more. There we go. Beautiful. And then, I'm not done with this little guy yet. So I keep my flour and my sugar right here, and I leave that pod right in my sugar bowl. And it will infuse that sugar, because pretty much everything I use my sugar for, there's vanilla in the recipe. Now you know what you bake, so maybe that wouldn't be the best idea for you if you don't use vanilla in most of your baking recipes. But I do, so I leave it there. And it does infuse the sugar just a little bit for a little bit longer. So now that my sugar is infused, and it's just literally sugar and vanilla bean. It sounds fancy when you say it's infused, but it's just, they're just mixed together. You're gonna take the whole 2 to 3 tablespoons, and you're gonna pour it in. And then you're just gonna go gold mining. You're gonna shake it around, and it's gonna stick to the butter, so it's not gonna fall out, because eventually, all of it will be eventually stuck to something that has butter that's run on side of it. Boom. And then you're done with the pan prep. Pan is ready to go. Actually, I'm gonna put this behind me. The oven is going to be heated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. If you have a convection oven, use the convection oven, because it will evenly distribute this heat, because this clafoutis is going to rise, and then it will never be that high ever again once you take it out, but that's when you want to enjoy it. It's going to look beautiful when it comes out. Serve it warm right out of the dish. All right, so let's make the batter. So the batter, first, actually, let's talk about these lovely cherries. So I'm using frozen cherries that are were picked back in July. I have 2 cherry trees in my yard, and I loved the fact that I already had cherry trees. I could not believe it. So in July, I harvested about 8 cups of cherries, and I made a fresh clafoutis, and I shared that on the blog. And then I wanted to make sure I enjoyed the rest of them throughout the fall and the winter, and I froze them in bags of 2 cups each. I pitted them. So you will want to pit them for this recipe, although the traditional recipe does say not to pit, because the pits have their own flavor. So it's up to you if you want to be spitting seeds out while or pits out while you're eating it. It completely is up to you, but the traditional one actually does keep the pits in. I've pitted all of these. I love this little pitter. It does a great job. But these are all done. I've taken them out of the freezer, defrosted them in hot water, just let them soak in hot water, and then I've drained it, because you don't want any extra liquid in the batter beyond just what the cherries will offer. Now let's make the batter. So we need 1 cup of whole milk. All right. Now you can, if you don't have, so we do a little bit of cream as well. If you just have whole milk and no heavy cream, then just use a cup and a quarter of whole milk. But I do recommend using whole milk. It just adds more depth of flavor. I mean, that's really what you're looking for here. So there's 1 cup of whole milk, and then you want 1/4 cup of heavy cream, heavy whipping cream. Here. Okay, and you can also add more whipping cream. So maybe you go 3/4 cup whole milk and 1/2 cup of cream. Have some fun with that. All right, I want 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Okay, and I want 6 eggs. And you're just, it's basically like a big old mess, as they call it. As part of, a lot of people say that's what the name also stands for. It's just a mess. You're just throwing everything in. but you're throwing it all in and mixing it at one time. So you don't have to mix a little bit here and I'll mix a little bit there. It was this easy. Woo, that was a mess of an egg. Now I'm gonna add 1/4 cup sugar, granulated sugar, pinch of salt, fleur de sel. We season everything. And the cassis. And so again, you're going to use a liqueur. There's a lot of different liqueurs that people use when they cook clafoutis. I choose a liqueur that's going to complement the fruit that I'm using. So if we go back to the episode from season 1 with pears, pois, I use a pear liqueur. It really is dependent on your palate, but this is a flavor that I love cassis with, which is simply a black currant. So I'm going to do 2 to 3 tablespoons. Okay. Now the last thing that we're going to add is the flour, but the flour actually does need to wait until we've mixed all this together. So I guess in a way you do have an additional step for the mixing, but everything else goes in. You mix it with a hand mixer or you mix it with your stand mixer. Here we go. So as you can see, very much like a custard, as soon as you make it so it's smooth and everything is incorporated, then you can add the flour. All right, so here we go, 3/4 cup flour. Mix it up for about 2 minutes until it's nearly smooth. If it's not entirely smooth, don't worry. We're gonna run it through a sieve so everything will look nice and smooth. So don't worry if it still looks kind of clumpy after 2 minutes. You can run it through the sieve and it will look beautiful. Here we go. So that's 2 minutes, and I do recommend doing it for 2 minutes because that will just ensure that everything's incorporated as it should be, even if there are a few lumps. But we do want to run it through the sieve just because it looks so nice and just cleans it up perfectly, even for those few lumps that you might have. So I actually probably need more than just one of these. I use them so frequently. I love my sieve because it sits right on top of the bowl with that little handle there on the right hand side. Let me get a spatula. Get it all out. Have as much of that lovely custard as you want. Now, some people have called this a flan or something similar to a flan. Evidently, that's a big no-no. So this dish originated in Limousin, France, and when those in Paris or around France called it a flan with cherries, oh, no, 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 no. It is a cake with fruit. If you're gonna call it anything, call it a cake with fruit. So now this is all cleaned up. You can see the residual flour clumps that are left behind that you're getting rid of so it doesn't look clumpy. You're going to then clean it off just like this. You get all the extra stuff that's hanging out there. Here. All right, now this looks beautiful and smooth and it's ready to bake. We just need to add this with the cherries to the pan that we had that's behind me actually, and that's it. How simple. How simple is this dessert, Oscar? It's quite simple. Okay, so now we have a seasoned dish. It's all ready to go. We're gonna take the cherries and add them first. Okay. Now do organize them in somewhat of an organized way in the sense that they're evenly spread, but they're gonna move a little bit when the batter goes in, so don't stress too much about it. Now let's pour this in. Here we go. Oh yeah. Look at that, oh yummy. Get all of that out as you can with a spatula. All right. Now this is when, as you can see from this picture, the cherries aren't entirely even. There's a big gap in the middle, so you can kind of rearrange them, but it really, I've tried to put them where I want them sometimes, and it really doesn't matter. They're gonna be good. It's gonna be delicious every bite you have, and that's it. Now we're gonna put in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 210 degrees Celsius, and for 35 to 40 minutes. Keep checking it. I like to check mine at 30 to 35. And when it's golden brown everywhere, not just in the edges, but everywhere, it will be a little dark on the edges. Bring it out. It's going to be rising, and enjoy it immediately. Let's get it in the oven. How we do? Yeah? Nice. 35 to 40 minutes. When you take it out of the oven, just remember that handle, those handles are going to be hot, so make sure you have hot pads and enjoy it. We'll be right back and pull it out of the oven. All right, as you can see, very brown on the edges, still cooked in the middle, and it was so risen there as it first came out, and it quickly falls, and that's okay. You've done nothing wrong. You've done it exactly right. Now to finish this off, you would maybe want to put some confectioner's sugar, sprinkle that on top, heat up some tea as I'm doing, and then we can dive in. So let me get some powdered sugar, let that tea warm up, and we'll have a bite. So we got some powdered sugar here. And you don't need a lot, but it will make a lovely little subtle sweet difference on the top. I usually pour it off to the side over here first because it will come through already anyway. And then just, there we go. Beautiful. And it's gonna melt on there. Yum. So let's dish up. I just need a knife. A butter knife is fine. Pan's hot, so just remember that. Oh yeah. And the custard looks good. Oh, see how nice it just pops out of that pan? I'm just gonna cut that edge. It went over a little bit. Perfect. There we go. And then, oh, look at that! It doesn't look as brown in the middle on the top. But it's cooked through. And you have a clafoutis with cherries and a hot cup of tea. I'm gonna have a bite. Gotta get a good cherry there. Oh. Ooh, and that cherry. It's so good warm. And you saw how quickly it came out of the oven. I'm eating it. It's not hot. By the time you've dusted it and poured yourself a hot cup of tea, that 5-10 minutes is just enough cooling time. Let's do one more, just to make sure. Oh yeah. So, with a 30 to 35 or to 40 minute baking time, depending on your oven, mine actually quicker at 30. You saw how quickly it was to make the mix, the batter. You could have a wonderful dessert ready to be enjoyed in 45 minutes. And put whatever fruit you have. Comfort food, simple and delicious. So today's everyday luxury is my tea cupboard. It is a comfort closet, as I like to call it. And I have all of my teas here. My stove has my hot kettle boiling with hot water, and then I'll come over here and choose my tea and my cup of choice. I love having mugs of tea. So in the morning is usually when you'll see me with the mug. The Gan mug is my favorite, I think, with the thumb rest. I love that. It just makes so much sense. It's so ergonomically comfortable. But I have a couple other mugs in here that just mean something special. And then I have the tea bag holders. I have my favorite teas up here. This one is from France. This is my absolute favorite, Monton Bleu from Palais de Thé. And it's black tea with lavender flavoring. And I also love Mirage Frere. They have all sorts of varietals. But my everyday, all the time go-to is definitely Twinings. I came to it late. The company's only been around for 300 years, you know, Shannon, come on. But I did come to it late, but I love it. I love that. I also drink their Lady Grey tea. And then I love having, on a special occasion, maybe every other day, shortbread cookie, and Walker's is a good one to go to for inexpensive price. Pure butter, can't beat that. Oscar's gonna join me. I also keep espresso cups for when I drink my hot chocolate. So coming on winter now, almost, we're in fall, it's getting cozy. It was a rainy day today, a perfect day to sit down and enjoy a hot cup of cocoa, homemade cocoa, or chocolat chaud. And I have some glasses here of espresso cups that I picked up in Paris at the Brocante. So it's just, this cupboard is really just a treasure cupboard, and it's simple, it's handy, and it's used every day.